What do you think Democrats not in New York City should be learning from this?
Well, first of all, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight. If Mamdani gets a hat trick, 3 out of 3, this is a new era for the Democratic Party, and you can't write off New York City because this is the place where both, it's the power center for the establishment and the insurgency, and they're going head-to-head tonight. And right now, this is no longer a movement. This is a movement and a machine at the same time. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. If Mamdani pulls off a hat trick, it is a new era in Democratic Party politics.
Well, and if you're a moderate Democrat who's on the ballot this November, Van, I mean, they're all going to get asked about the positions that we're hearing from these other fellow Democrats.
Well, look, I think, from our frontline Democrats will be able to make their case for themselves. I think they'll be able to do okay. We got a lot of national security Democrats in other parts of the country, but this is a big deal tonight. And I think that, look, I don't know what you want me to say here. This is a straight up battle between the establishment and the insurgency, and the establishment is getting its butt kicked tonight in New York City.
CNN has a projection. I'm going to go straight to John King over at the Maverick Watch.
And that projection, Abby, means that the mayor, Mamdani, does get a sweep of the 3 races in which he endorsed in Democratic primaries tonight. The Democratic Socialist candidate, Dani-Eliza Avila Chevalier, beating a powerful Democratic, long-standing Democratic incumbent, Adriano Espaillat. Much more narrow race than the other 2 districts here, but this is, again, this is a mayor making a statement. This is a candidate making a statement. You're having the conversation with your panel about we want new, we want different, and yes, we want more liberal. In this particular case, Espaillat is certainly a Democrat and a progressive, but this is part of the generational divide. We've also seen the Democratic Party. We want new, we want younger, but there's 1 for the mayor, there's 2 for the mayor, and there's 3 tonight. So the conversation is going to be, Abby, number 1, how much power does Zohran Mamdani have in New York City politics? Number 2, he's also making some enemies tonight, let's be honest. He's been mayor 6 months, and he's gone against 2 Democratic incumbents and the wishes of the retiring Democratic incumbent in the 3rd district there. But he's making a statement for the city, for the state, and he's also making a statement of where he thinks the Democratic Party should go nationally, both for the next 5 months and into 2028. So as you're discussing with your panel, can you export this? Can you sell what he wants to do in New York City, where his candidates clearly are winning tonight, where he won clearly, convincingly? Can you sell it? Well, he wants to be part of that debate, and tonight he's proving he gets a big role in it.
This is a really important conversation because Zohran Mamdani, thank you, John King, Zohran Mamdani he took a big swing, right, as we were just discussing. And you don't take those kinds of swings unless you think you can win, and he did. And this last race that we just called, just 1 second, because I think this is super important. Dani-Eliza Avila Chevalier is one of the more controversial candidates. CNN earlier in the year reported that she had deleted previous Twitter posts expressing views for abolishing police, prisons, borders, seizing private property, nationalizing major industries, calling into question Israel's right to exist. She spoke to a friend of the show, Ested Herndon, in a recent interview, said that all deportations are immoral. So all of that being said, there she is defeating a Democratic incumbent, a powerful member of the Hispanic caucus, who's been there. The chairman. He's been there for a really long time. I mean, you could say that all of this is just controversial. She's a bad candidate, but she's likely to just be the congressperson. And does it not suggest, though, that the voters looked at that and they were like, we don't really care about that. We care about all these other things?
I think that's the problem for the greater Democratic Party in this district or in these 3 districts. You have the ones who are the furthest to the left, who under no uncertain terms support open borders, do not support any deportation. And even in that podcast interview, I mean, she was given a follow-up of even if it's a murderer, even if it's a rapist, no, they shouldn't be deported. Republicans are very obviously going to take advantage of this, and it's going to hurt the Democrats nationwide. You could win in New York, you can win in Seattle, you can win in Portland and Los Angeles, but that's where you're going to win. And if we're able to define the Democrats who have tried to run away from this label of being socialist, being open borders, being pro-crime or anti-Israel, if that's the goal of the Democratic Party to run from that, you're not going to be able to do that
But you forget
anymore.
one important thing. People are broke. That's the other part you forget, is that the affordability crisis in this country, I think, is a major win for a lot of Democrats. It's like, again, all those little scary terms y'all like to use to try to throw people off and say,
She's open borders, right?
And I'm not
a scary
saying that
term.
I agree with that.
That isn't,
yes,
that is
but
what
there's
she
extreme
believes.
MAGA candidates too that run on way worse things
Do you
than
call
this.
them out as well? And you
Yes,
usually
we
use
do,
them
and
as
guess what? They still
Democrats
get
for that
elected.
point.
You know why? Because there is core things that still resonate with people, and all the scary terms aren't going to get them off of that. At the end of the day, if people are broke, they do
in
not
far
care.
left districts where Republicans aren't running, like Republicans don't lose anything tonight in these districts, but they are going to be dealing with some of these far left candidates in, say, Maine. I mean, to come up for Congressman Golden's position, you guys put someone very far to the left, and that's now going to go into the Republican camp. We're going to pick that seat up. When you're going
I don't
into
think you
moderate,
will, my friend.
we
I think
will.
that's the thing. You guys keep putting out all these scary terms. No, we've heard all this anti-Semitism and
They're
we are evil
anti-Semites.
and we're
If you do
open
not
borders.
believe in Israel's right to exist, that means you're an anti-Semite.
That's one candidate that you're talking about
There's
in the
three
entire
candidates.
country. No, listen.
That is the
you
part
cannot
of the
make it about a
Democratic
scary terms.
Socialist Party.
There
It's
are
not a scary
people
term.
struggling in this country, and we need representatives that don't just represent the
Could you
donors
find
and the
one?
lobby groups and the billionaires. Mamdani is showing us that you can deliver. It is possible
you
to
find
run
any
and
who
keep your
don't
promises. I would
hold
love to talk
anti-Semitic
without you
views?
talking over me the entire time.
Yeah, that's how it's been.
Yes, and he's also out there saying that he's going to align himself with the folks that do not believe in Israel's right to
Look,
exist.
I mean,
Bradlander.
That is a
I
problem.
just,
But if
I
you
just
wanna throw
answering
that-
your
It's an
question in
anti-Semitic
terms
If you want to throw that live, I'd say find me an
Just to
extreme
answer that question.
extreme MAGA politician that's not bigoted.
But what,
I would say the
but
same
hold on,
thing.
What about what about what Jamel is saying? I mean, isn't the story of the last 10 years of politics, especially in this Trump era, that there are, even in the Republican tent, plenty of people to the far right that have been welcomed into the tent. And maybe they're toxic, maybe they're controversial, but they still get elected in their ruby red districts. It just seems like a parallel thing is starting to happen on the Democratic side. And part of what's happening is that Democrats are actually learning from what Republicans did
I don't think
over
they're
the
learning.
last 10
I don't really
years.
think they are learning. I mean, I think if you look back, this happened to us. In 2010 and 2012, you can look at candidates like Sharon Angle and Richard Murdoch and Todd Akin. We left a lot of Senate seats and House seats on the table because we did things that made the most radical people in our party happy. And you guys are celebrating, oh, we're taking our party back. We're finally sending a message. It's a message that swing voters are going to be scared of. Congresswoman Chevalier, Congresswoman-elect Chevalier, I'd like to invite her to come campaign in any of the districts where I'm working with candidates this year. She would be welcome. We might pay her travel expenses. I would like her to be an ambassador of the Democratic Party.
But she's not an ambassador of the Democratic
Sure
Party,
she
then.
is. She
Of
just,
course she
you
is.
just won tonight. You just said
Of course
that.
she is.
No, she's not.
But I'm sorry, but
No,
aren't you
she's not.
celebrating the unity that she's bringing to the base of the Democratic Party? You're saying that she's energizing everyone,
No,
and we're going to point that
I
out.
think we started
she is
this by
energizing
talking. I
the
think
base
we
of the
started
extremists
this
in your
by
party.
saying her race was the closest. That Mamdani was the thing that we were celebrating, and Mamdani is showing that
Who
politicians can.
handpicked extremists.
Again, I'm speaking, and you keep
Hold on.
talking over me. I would love to
It's a
finish
debate
point.
show.
Okay, hold on a second. Just finish your point, and then you can respond.
My point is, we were talking about Mamdani. Mamdani, in 6 months, has shown what the Democrats have not been able to show in years. That you can say you're going to get something done, and then you can get it done. That you can look out for the people, and you can actually deliver for them. That if you don't answer to the billionaire class, and you don't answer to a lobby group, and you don't answer to your donors, then you can actually keep looking out for the people. And that's why when we're talking about John saying, is this Mamdani's idea? This is what a lot of us in the country want. We want politicians that answer to us, that look out for us, that represent us.
How big of a shockwave was this to see all of the people that Mamdani endorsed win?
I mean, truly, as Politico put it, there is a new king of New York when it comes to endorsements. I mean, just up and down the ballot, from congressional races on down. If you're Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, you're really taking a tough look at this, because truly, New Yorkers sent a message last night, and with affordability at top of minds of Democrats, this has got to rattle them going forward.
Yeah, affordability was the word, right, that everyone was kind of looking at and using. Francesca, I do wonder if this is a New York anomaly, or do you see Zohran Mamdani's version of democracy as a harbinger of things to come in potentially other places, other states, other cities?
There's a more nuanced look if you go across the country. I mean, you have a state like Iowa where Josh Turek won, and he had large establishment support. Even in looking in New York itself, you have the race where Michael Lasher won and had been an aide to Gerald Nadler and had his support. And so, yes, certainly a progressive wave going on in New York and in other parts of the country for sure. But as Democrats are trying to figure out what kind of message works for them, they're finding that in different states, particularly in red states, in some of these purple states, that the message that might work for voters is going to be different than the one that works in a place like New York that's very blue. And they're having to figure out how to thread that needle as they start to look for a candidate who can try and bring all these different parts of the party together in 2028. But as far as this idea of Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer, I did want to pick up on what Jackie was saying and say, if you're waking up this morning and you're Chuck Schumer and you're looking at that, or you're Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's trying to figure out what she's going to do in her future, the progressive wave that was seen last night leans, of course, in the direction of an AOC.
Yeah, Jackie, as Francesca has sort of alluded to, as Republicans watch Democrats wrestle with their own ideological divisions, how might this be used in the midterms in other places?
That's the question. I think some of the members who won in New York will be used as the new boogeyman, as the Republicans tried to do with Mayor Mamdani. Now, whether or not that works, I think it depends on where you are. I mean, good luck trying to do that in a place like Texas, for example. But it might work somewhere like Maine, where they have a very progressive candidate running, or around the margins. Somewhere like Maine, where you do have a candidate that is very progressive in Graham Plattner. So as Francesca pointed out, this isn't a one size fits all, but I think as much as we talk about problems that Republicans have, Democrats clearly have some of their own internally. And the other really interesting thing that we're going to see moving forward, potentially into next year, about Hakeem Jeffries is how he governs this kind of caucus that's moving he's going to have a very strong vocal left wing, potentially, if they end up taking the majority, or if they don't.